country and the prospect of a forever war.
I'd like to see us do the job properly.
Do you think that New Zealand banks are ripping off Kiwis?
Well, they're not New Zealand banks for a start, they're Australian banks. And the question you've got to ask yourself, if Ned Kelly was caught ripping off Australians, why wouldn't Ned Kelly not be doing that in New Zealand?
Mr. Peters, I don't know if you caught the news earlier, but Marama Davidson has revealed that she has breast cancer. I just wondered if you had any reflections.
Were you not here at the start?
Oh, sorry. No, I wasn't. I was late.
Sorry, but I mentioned that because regardless of the politics, this is a human circumstance. We feel everyone in Parliament would expect and hope that she gets better as soon as possible.
Has Cabinet discussed in any further detail any more moves toward funding the 13 cancer drugs that were promised by National on the election campaign?
Well, it's an ongoing work by Mr. Reddy and his team, and it requires a significant amount of work with the particularity and exactitude that's required, and it wasn't ready by Cabinet, but it'll be ready for us to keep that commitment in 2024.
So it won't be funded this year?
Well, this is 2024, not 2025. You've got to keep up. Next question.
What's New Zealand's position on statehood for Bougainville? Because that process seems to be kicked out. Obviously, you supported the referendum, and not only for it to happen, but in it's actually taking place. Where's New Zealand's position on this?
Look, we had discussions with Prime Minister Marape at the time. We were in Papua New Guinea. We also talked to those who were connected with Bougainville. There is the question of a mediated way forward, and that's what they've been looking at. They're looking at the moment, and we should not be premature in giving our view, but we have said that we support the mediated pathway to a future they can both accept as soon as possible.
The view from Bougainville is that it's just a ghost. It's not happening. I mean, it doesn't want to happen.
Well, with respect, that's not the view from Bougainville that I heard from the Bougainvillean I was talking to. Some might think that, but in the end, this is a difficult way forward. To start a new nation would be enormously expensive. It's see whether or not we could get the kind of status by way of a mediator. It's open for those alternatives to be put to us, or the PNG, and dare I say it, the Pacific Islands Forum would be interested in this as we go into the future.
Just back on Granny Flats, Chris Pankers launched a number of reviews and reforms to the Building Act, and in order to unlock more materials and things like that. It's quite a lot of work. How urgent is it that that work gets done in order that these flats can start getting built?
Oh, look, we are determined to cut through the red tape that is holding our housing system back. It just costs too much to do things in this country. We know, for example, that the cost of building a house in New Zealand has grown by 40% in the last 5 years. So we're determined to get those costs under control. So Chris Penk is working his way through quite a comprehensive program of work around remote inspections, around building consent reform, around competition and building materials to drive down the cost of building. This is part of those proposals. He's doing an excellent job, and he's obviously got the earthquake seismic review soon to be underway as well. But we are determined to get on top of how expensive it is to build a house in this country. I'm in charge of the land supply issues, part of our Going for Housing Growth agenda, going out at the edge of our cities, going up inside our cities. That's really important. So is sorting out the infrastructure cost to connect services to those new houses as well, and making sure that councils have got innovative funding tools to allow that to take place. Both those elements are very important, but also very important is the work that Chris Penk is doing on building costs. There's no silver bullet to our housing crisis. It's about flooding the market with supply of land. It's about sorting out the infrastructure system. It's about making it cheaper to build while safeguarding quality. It's about liberalising our planning rules, and this is an example of liberalisation of our planning rules to make it easier to build. I think Granny Flats will be one part of the solution. There's no silver bullet. If there was, governments would have fired it a long time ago. But this is one useful thing we can do.
Just in relation to cutting the planning costs, I mean, obviously there is a stream of income for councils, and councils have been complaining for a long time about the lack of revenue. Are you giving any consideration to, other ways to allow councils to generate revenue or get money, given that presumably that
Well, it's meant to be for cost recovery, so they will no longer be requiring a resource consent, or the BCA will be requiring a building consent, so they won't have to do the work. So it's meant to be on a cost recovery basis, so I hope they're not making money out of this stuff. So it's meant to be cost neutral for them, so hopefully they won't be worse off. I'd be slightly horrified if they were. But we are considering revenue streams for councils. I gave a speech on Friday, which some of you have seen, around how we're considering sharing the benefits of growth with councils. ACT's got an idea around GST sharing. We're considering that. We campaign on a slightly different model. So we're just working our way through that. That's part of work stream 3, to get technical, and now going for housing growth agenda. And once we've landed on a position there, we will make an announcement.
For the Housing Minister, trusted workers and simple, straightforward designs, how are you going to define that, or find that definition?
Well, there's quite a degree of detail in the discussion document. For example, if you go to page 11, design and building work, any design or building work not covered by a multi-proof or build ready must be supervised. There's a whole degree of things in relation to plumbing work. Now, I'm not going to pretend to you that I am an expert when it comes to building houses. So we have published a whole range of different things that we're asking for feedback on. When we publish when we eventually land on a bill to amend the Building Act, add a schedule to the Building Act, all of that will be laid out. But we want to consult with builders and the industry, and also councils to some extent, just to make sure we get the finer details right.
We're going to hire workers that understand that water can run uphill, particularly with a huge wind behind it. And the second thing is they're carrying around a cartridge of gunk. Don't hire them, because they won't measure things properly.
I think you recently said house prices needed to come down. Was that right, or fall? Or am I paraphrasing you?
Yes, housing's too expensive in New Zealand.
And therefore the price needs to reduce.
We want housing to be more affordable for New Zealanders. That is a major work stream of this government. Average house prices in New Zealand are too expensive. Average house prices to average household income are too high. By any objective measure, they are severely unaffordable by international standards. We now have one of the most expensive housing markets in the developed world.
Just semantically, you're saying something a little bit different there, though. You have previously said that house prices need to drop, which sends shivers up the spines of every homeowner in the country. So do you still think that house prices need to fall?
Well, I'm not sure I would put it in the way that you put it. So the flip side of house prices falling for people who own homes is that they become more affordable for people who don't own homes. And there is a whole generation of young New Zealanders who have been locked out of the housing market because average house prices are too high. And then you ally that with deposit requirements from the Reserve Bank through the LVR restrictions. It takes an enormous amount to pull together a deposit to get on the housing ladder. So the flip side of making housing more affordable for Kiwis is, yes, people who own homes may look at that and say, I'm a little bit worried about that, but they also have, in many cases, children and younger people who are trying to desperately get on the housing ladder and can't right now. So the flip side of that is it becomes more affordable. And if we're going to be a property-owning democracy, which we used to be, we need to make housing more affordable. And it is outrageous that average house prices in New Zealand have risen faster than any other OECD country in the last 2 decades. There are many reasons for that. A big one is our planning system, which we are sorting out, and today's announcement is just one small parcel of the wider planning reform we've got underway.
Do you think it's significant that you are effectively saying house prices need to fall? And from my memory, you're the first government to have ever said that. Jacinda Ardern could never bring herself to say that house prices needed to fall. I think her line was she wanted to see them not increase as much as they were. Is it significant that you're saying they need to come down?
Well, you'll be the, you write a column every week, Thomas, so no doubt you'll write a commentary about it. But there are lots of ways to make housing more affordable. One way is sustained moderation in house prices. Another way is to go for growth and have a sustained lift in incomes in this country so that people are better able to afford housing that is more relevant to them. And we've got a massive program of work underway to lift incomes in this country because that is one of the great challenges for the New Zealand economy as well.
Do you believe in your lifetime we will get back to or in your political lifetime, we will get back to a state of housing affordability that is 3 times the income?
I wake up every day, Jenna, determined to try and improve housing affordability in this country. That is my driving mission in politics.
By the way, it never was 3 times the income. It was really more 4 times the income. But people could get by with 25% of their pay paying for the mortgage, the insurance and the rates. And the other 75% of their money was for their personal expenditure. That's dramatically changed. And if we can get it down to 5 or 6 times, we'll be doing seriously well over the next 6 to 9 years.
I mean, you also champion build to rent and famously giving back a lot of incentives to landlords. Is it part of the problem in New Zealand's current economic malaise? New Zealanders have so much money tied up in owning property that the money isn't productive at all. That's the big productivity challenge.
Well, build to rent is one part of the solution to get more houses built. Ultimately, people will make choices around where they live when it comes to renting. We opened the build to rent development in Sylvia Park the other day. The reality is a lot of people rent in New Zealand, and we want renting to be more affordable. Build to rent is another option. It's not for everybody. It will be for some people. It's an option that's available, particularly long-term secure tenancies. It's been quite popular in parts of Australia, for example, other parts of the world. So I'm not pretending for a moment that build to rent is the answer to our housing crisis. The answer to our housing crisis is land supply, infrastructure settings, and incentives for councils, and that's what we're focused on.
You said you want houses.
3 more questions.
You said you want houses to be cheaper. Would you be prepared to say you also think that New Zealanders need to own fewer houses as investments? They need to invest in other areas.
I don't mind if people want to own houses as investments, as long as there are plenty of houses so that people can afford the homes that they either rent or want to buy. And that is about land supply. There's a lot of work that's been done by the economists on this, and the big driver of house prices over the last 20 years is we just have not got enough land available for housing. We layer restriction upon restriction on using land in our cities and at the edge of our cities, and we look back after 20 years and say, we've got a housing crisis. Well, hello, the RMA is a big part of the problem, and we're fixing that.
And also, look, you've forgotten that in the 87 share market crash, of the world's worst 10, we had 6, and of the world's worst 4, we had all 4. We had such a jungle of a share market, people went straight back to property as being the only secure investment they're on in, and that had a profound effect on where we are now. And those who want to be ideological about this, maybe they should own up to where they were guilty in the first place.
Mr. Peters, can I ask about the media reform package? Will there be one? And were you correct in March when you said that the reform package had been sent to Cabinet before being sent to you?
Well, I wouldn't have said it otherwise.
Had a staff member sent it to Cabinet and not sent it to you by the end of March?
Well, look, I don't know. If you send me a written note, I'd come down here with the diary and perhaps be able to answer you. But if this is going to be a memory contest, I can't remember the exact week on that when I said that. But I know that that was a fact, and that's why I said it.
Will there be any media reform package? What's happened to that?
Well, I'm not the minister in charge, am I?
Is acting Prime Minister and someone who commented?
But acting Prime Minister cannot remember everything. If you'd have come and sent me a text an hour ago and saying, I'm going to ask you this question, I'd have come down here fully informed, having consulted the minister, or the 2 ministers that are concerned.
You were very vocal about it at the time.
Yeah, well, I want a decent media in this country. I want to make sure the fourth estate is the fourth estate, and I want to make sure that the essential part of any democracy, being held accountable, does exist. I'm wanting to see a great fourth estate back in this country.
Wasn't New Zealand First blocking Melissa Lee's ideas, reform package, whatever it was?
Did you see the reform package?
Did I see it?
Yeah.
No. Did you?
Well, I mean, it's a work in progress. Still.
Mr. Peters, were you happy with how the decision to not fund the 13 cancer drugs in this year's budget was handled?
Look, the reality was, I think we didn't make, but we became part of the coalition agreement where that was one of the things we agreed with. But it was to commit ourselves to those drugs and perhaps more. But I think the work that was required once Minister really got into it was much more complex. However, we are confident that it'll be a matter of months when we'll be ready to go in 2024.
Thank you. And are you confident that those same 13 drugs will definitely be funded?
I've got no reason not to think that at this point in time. But as I say, detailed work is going on into it, and the commitment's been made by the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister and Mr. Reddy.
Do you think it was a political mistake to promise something life-saving to people and then not be able to deliver on it?
But we're going to deliver on it. in 2024, not 2025 like you suggested.
Mr. Peters,
One more question.
can I ask about the visit of the Chinese Premier last week? What was the biggest takeaway of that visit for you, and did it improve New Zealand-China relations?
I've got no doubt that it did improve New Zealand-China relations, otherwise he wouldn't have come in the first place, and then the number of people that he brought with him. So it was a success, and a tiny one in that sense, because they're a very serious trading partner. We have to do more work with every trading partner we can possibly work with, including those that are in the market with us in such volume now, almost 40 billion, plus the new ones we're trying to find as hard as we can do and go at this present time.
One of his office while he was here,
Sorry?
if I can just finish that train of thought. One of his office while he was here was he said that China stands ready to fund New Zealand infrastructure projects. Are you comfortable with that? Is that something that New Zealand should be courting? Should New Zealanders be wary of Chinese infrastructure money?
Well, the question about those things are a judgment you make wherever the investment is coming from. And at the end of the day, where would be the value for us in terms of infrastructure if we're now paying for the next 40 years for it, when we should have been a saving nation and being able to pay for it like smart countries do, like Singapore, like Ireland, for example, like Croatia is heading out to do now with a savings program, and like one member of parliament recommended all those years ago when he was ignored.
Just quickly, the Stuff last week published a documentary about foreign interference, Chinese foreign interference in New Zealand. Two MPs who are part of the Interparliamentary Alliance in China have now called for an inquiry into select committee inquiry into foreign interference. Do you support that call?
Look, the constitutional nature of this government and our political system is that select committees are the master of their own destiny. It's not for me or the Prime Minister to say what they should be doing. That's the marvellous thing about an accountable democracy. I know we haven't had it for a long time, but we're getting it back.
What, in a broad sense, would you support more scrutiny of public scrutiny, parliamentary scrutiny of foreign interference in New Zealand?
Well, I would support more scrutiny or enhanced scrutiny by our two official agencies doing that. It also requires us to cooperate more internationally to find out what we may not know, because at the moment a lot of things are being said when people don't know exactly what they're talking about. But also, because it's a parliamentary democracy, the Select Committee's got a right to say whether they want or don't want one, and it'll come down what the Select Committee thinks.
Have you seen that documentary or any of the reporting around it, and has any of that surprised you, or what do you make of it?
Nothing surprises me.
Just on that note, we've had two quite, I mean, they're not related obviously, but two quite massive chinks in trust in democracy with the foreign interference allegations and also the allegations of misuse of census data. Are you concerned about the level of trust that New Zealanders have in our democracy and whether that is being eroded by those cases?
It'll be eroded if we do nothing about it. But in the terms of our democracy, we had 350,000 of taxpayers' charity money given to a political party. What on earth are the institutions of government doing about that? That's number one. The second thing is you've got one of the most famous names, Maori names in New Zealand politics, that looks like he might have been robbed of his seat by 42 votes. And a whole lot of systemic goings on, which is someone who seriously knows a bit about electoral law and malpractice and began my career in a major court case on this very matter, I am concerned about, and I want a system to work properly. And I want to know also, more like a plea, I'm asking the Labour Party, because you're part of the electoral and constitutional process, what are you doing about it in supporting your own member?
Should they take legal action, the Labour Party?
Well, they shouldn't have had to. The reality is none of those things should have happened. But please don't tell me that what's coming out of the Mangere Marae, the Manuera Marae, is not true. Some of us know a bit more about that place than others, and we know something about the witnesses, and they are not lying. So I want to know, what on earth is the system doing that has oversight over the purity and the effectiveness and the honesty of our electoral system?
Would you like to share what more you know?
No, I will when the time comes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.